on Camino Island in western Washington. Today we have the last, Lesson 6, of the new Super Cosmic Science course by Paramahansa Yogananda. There are 6 lessons and today's the last. Tomorrow Padma goes on to the advanced Super Cosmic Science course by Paramahansa Yogananda, and she'll talk about affirmations and astral food. But today, Lesson 6, we're going to talk about the 3 ways to achieve cosmic consciousness. So you're going to want to listen up. In the meantime, however, Yogananda would like to offer us some thoughts. That is to say, if I can okay, here it comes.
Sir, we have never asked who followed the Jewish religion or Christian religion or the Hindu religion. We have never asked who followed the Jewish religion or Christian religion or the Hindu religion. We have taken you all as you know, because you love God. And that's why this birthday is very significant to me, because I was born in this family, this eternal family. I was born in your hearts. And that's why it gives me an indescribable joy for the virtue of God in this family, for the God who is invisible and unseen. And while the audacity of the seen world eclipses the glory and the love of God, when we bring that invisible and the unseen power and make Him manifest in our daily life, then He appreciates us. For God has everything, but He hasn't our love. He created us with one expectation. Perchance we would use our free choice to love Him in preference to His gifts. That's why Jesus said, "Bread the men of the world seek after. Gifts of God the short-sighted people of the world seek after. But ye who are wise, ye who love God, love the giver of all gifts, and all things will be added unto you. For all things belong to Him, including our bodies. Nor ye be of doubtful mind."
There is a saying in India, it may be indeed a fortunate fact to be born into religion, but a misfortune to die in one. Well, to die in religion is, of course, to lose one's inspiration, one's commitment, one's love for God. To be spiritually born into a spiritual family wherein there are deep souls who love God is a great blessing, and such a family will inevitably be guided by one Son of God, one great messenger, one avatar. And so those of us who feel blessed to be in the new dispensation, the ray of divine love that Yogananda and his lineage has brought to us, have many blessings, but also a great responsibility. For we have committed ourselves to self-realization, and in so doing, we want to serve that ray, serve that light, and help others as we have been helped. And so the path to cosmic consciousness, this lesson 6 of the new Super Cosmic Science course, it shows us that there are 3 basic ways. He describes them as follows: the social way, the way of discipline, and the spiritual way. Well, these titles are a little bit misleading. The social way is the easiest way to describe. It means to love others as thyself, the second great commandment. I think of someone like Mother Teresa as a bit austere and stark example of serving and loving others as oneself, as the Christ in all, regardless of the cost to oneself. That's rather extreme. But the social way of developing cosmic consciousness, he writes, is to love your family, neighbors, country, the whole world as yourself. Love all as your brothers and sisters. Love all elderly as your parents. Love all human beings, black, brown, yellow, red, olive colored, as your friends and brothers and sisters. This is the social way. Now, the way of discipline is approximately as easy to describe. I call it the Stoic path. I call it the path of Dharma. What I mean is he talks about, learning the good rules of being pleasant and exercising self-control. Be kind, abstemious, and moderate. Be truthful in all that you do. Speak no untruth. Do nothing that will cause yourself unhappiness. Avoid untruth, stealing, worry, fear, etc. Learn to withstand heat and cold and endure sorrow and happiness without excitement. Rise above sensations of the senses, heat and cold, etc., even though you feel them while still being subject to them. Now, what's interesting about that way, which is the way of the warrior, the way of the Stoic, in some respects the way of the yogi, in a limited sense, in the sense of austerities, I should say. But the question is how does that get you to cosmic consciousness? And he answers that by giving at the end of this paragraph where he describes the way of discipline, a little meditation for such people. He says, meditate by withdrawing your attention from objects of the senses, and then go out through the medulla at the base of the brain into infinite space. I chuckled because Yogananda had a great work to do, and he didn't explain a lot of details. He sort of gave it from the height of his own consciousness and left it to his disciples, as is true for really all the great saviors of humanity. They plant seeds and they give the essence of their revelations, the essence of their consciousness. But, we're not on that level generally. And so we need, in order to understand and maybe help others, to explain things a little more fully. And so he gives that meditation to those who are on the path of self-discipline, the path of righteousness. Okay, but most interesting, and the least obvious, is the transcendental way. In his title, he lists it as the spiritual way. Well, all of them are spiritual. Yogananda wouldn't argue with that, but he later calls it, in the description, transcendental, and I think that's really more what he meant. He says the inner way of developing cosmic consciousness. Now listen to this. This is so, you would not expect this. Lies in practicing and living on the sense plane without sense contacts. That is, watch the senses. Put them on, switch them off at will in the various sense organs. He gives 4 things we should do in the transcendental way. Learn to switch on and off the consciousness and the life current from the heart, the breath, and the lungs. Well, that means to go into breathlessness. This is truly the yogic path. Number 2, put life force in all the muscles, like we do in energization exercises, and then relax. You should be able to relax instantly, at will, anytime, anywhere. Switch the consciousness and will on and off from the spine. Now, I don't know what he means from that, but I know what it means to get centered in the spine. But to turn it off, I don't think he means to go back into the senses here. I think he means to go into the higher centers. He doesn't say that, however. Number 4, switch, but this is the clue why I think what I just said. 4, switch the consciousness on and off from the 6 plexuses, meaning the chakras, cerebrum, cerebellum, and medulla. That's called samyama by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, which is aligns pretty much with the negative pole of the 6th chakra, the positive pole, and the 7th chakra. Then, though the way it's printed here, well, anyway, then he gives 2 meditations that are opposite sides of the coin, and you can't tell from this that it's related to the Transcendental Way, but it is when you read it. So the first one is to visualize light in meditation with the eyes closed, and the second one is to visualize darkness. Interesting, huh? So in the one with light, you behold within you a globe of pale bluish light. Keep on expanding it in your consciousness for 15 minutes. What are you going to do? Look at your watch? Well, anyway, making it bigger than the earth, stars, skies, and eternity. I don't know what's bigger than eternity, but anyway. Each day you must begin to meditate on this globe of light by seeing it as bigger than on the previous day. Keep expanding it. Now, the other one, the darkness, meditation with creation, this is very interesting also. He says, visualize, with eyes closed, of course, a sphere of sky black light as big as you can imagine. And then behold in your mind's eye your body, your country, your world, planets, solar systems, worlds, moons, Milky Way, Great Bear, Orion, and star rivers glittering like glowworms in it. Isn't that beautiful? So it's a very curious lesson, and at the very beginning of the lesson, in fact, 2 pages, 2 sides of 1 page, is a very beautiful guided meditation on cosmic consciousness. I don't have time to read it all. I don't think it's appropriate for these broadcasts, but it was thrilling for me. He looks out into the world and sees the beauties of the world as you and I do and appreciate, especially this time of year. And then he says, I silently said within myself, audacious intruder, meaning the world of the senses. Thy beauty would forever remain unappreciated without the invisible inmates of my dark mental chamber. And this is a beautiful thought. We have all these thoughts and emotions and contact with the world around us through the 5 senses, limited as those senses are. Just think how little we actually see, hear, taste, touch, and feel compared to what maybe a quantum physicist would tell us reality looks like, or a chemical chemical scientist would tell us, etc. But that's what we see. But how do we see it? We see it because of these invisible inmates of my dark mental chamber. And then he goes on, what charm you cast around, what stupendous work you do, invisible friends. How stealthily you go out of the dark chamber to build skyscrapers, mighty bridges, daring material achievements, and then slip away unknown, unthanked, unhonored, and unsought. Isn't that amazing? You see, out of the silence came the song of creation. Out of the darkness came the light.